when you have to cover all that mileage after 3 hours, you really hit the wall. And it's either you stop or you keep going. Sometimes I feel like throwing up, and sometimes I'm really tired. But then I remember this is when the work is done. This is where I'm growing.
Hi, welcome back to Setting the Pace, episode 2. And I'm so excited for today's guest. Before we dive into it, I'd like to give a very, very special shout out to Malta Camera Rental that have honestly helped one of my biggest dreams come to life. They've set up everything. They have the best equipment, super professional. And yeah, I just had to literally walk in and sit down. So that's just been an amazing service to have access to. And also Lito's Place, this state-of-the-art studio where we're currently filming and recording this podcast. And again, great team to work with. I can't recommend them enough. Hi, I'm Maria, and welcome to Setting the Pace. This podcast was born out of the curiosity to understand the mindset behind the outcomes we spend years chasing, be it in sports, business, relationships, and everything in between. I want to learn more about the person you become and achieving anything that's worth your time, and how you can set the pace to get exactly there. Okay, so today's guest, someone that is quite popular here in Malta, a very familiar face, Claire Agius Orway. Welcome.
I'm honored.
Welcome.
Really, I am honored that you invited me on this podcast, and I'm very happy for you.
Thank you very, very much.
The little we meet, we're really on the same wavelength with energy-wise, work-wise, what we read, what we think of. So I'm really looking forward to this hour.
Thank you. I obviously agree. And you are someone that was always on my list of people I'd love to interview. I think it's a mix because, yes, you're this big Maltese personality that I grew up watching. Like I remember being at PBS with my dad or wherever, and you were there and running around, keeping up with everything, with your family, with your kids, your husband, sports and whatever. And that was like a real inspiration for me. I know you also had a very close relationship with your dad, and you shared sports in common, which is something that we have in common as well, because I do a lot of sports with my dad. And I just love your mindset. I love your mindset. Every time we meet, I'm like, Ilalo. It's cool because I can have access to that. It's not like you're someone that I can't ever reach out to and talk to. So
thank you.
To have that is fantastic.
Thank you.
So one of the reasons that I wanted to have you literally in this chair opposite me was because the last time we spoke, you said something that really stuck to me. And ever since you said this very simple statement, I've just had it looping in my mind. And yes, it's winter at the moment here in Malta. So kind of you have quieter days. It's very easy to get lost in your own head and just overthink and get into that cycle. And you said that on the days that you don't feel like doing anything, are the days that not only do you go and train, but you like kill yourself in the gym.
True.
And really make that workout count. So I want to know why, how you got to that frame of thinking, and how can someone adopt that similar mindset? Because I've been really trying to do it, and it
changed, to be honest. I remember when we were talking, I remember the days when I started running. I remember enough seeing that it was raining, and I would say, Lalo, it's raining, I can't go.
Excuse number one.
Excuse number one. But that changed eventually when I started training harder. I was happier and I was more focused. I started seeing my strength increasing, my body changing. And I really believe that when you start training harder, you become more resilient. So I always push myself. That is something my dad gave me. He always told me, listen, you have to be more disciplined. When someone tells me, for example, I put up posts and I receive a lot of comments. You say that because you have nothing to do. You have a lot of help and everything. And sometimes I get sad because people really do not get me.
No.
We're living in a world where we have to excuse everything. We have to be kind to everyone. We have to be really attentive to what we say. So I grew up very differently. My dad was very, how do you say it? He used to tell me everything as it was. So there was no sugar coating or anything. And I like that.
You know where you stood.
So today, even sometimes, once I put up a post, I shared a post of a disabled person who was training CrossFit. And to me, it was really inspiring, And I said, really, literally no excuses. Oh, there are no excuses to not training, And I know a lot of people who struggle, who have disabilities and still work out. And people were telling me, you're saying no excuses, I have a lot to do, you have nothing to do, you have a lot of help. Some were saying I don't take care of my kids. So unfortunately, I had to be a little bit attentive, but still, getting back to your question, by time I became more resilient, and I know that if I go train, I push myself and train when I really don't feel like it, that is when the work is being done.
Yeah.
That is when I'm growing. Even, for example, sometimes now I'm training, as I was telling you, I'm training for Hyrox. And Hyrox, I have to work out for 2 to 3 times a week. I have to do a whole workout without rest for 1 hour, 30 minutes. And it's quite intensive, you run, you push, you pull. And sometimes, I feel like throwing up, and sometimes I'm really tired. But then I remember, this is when the work is done. This is where I'm growing. If I give up now,
then what's
the improvement,
Yeah.
And that spills over even into my life. That's why I love sports so much.
Yeah, helps you set the pace.
Exactly. So yes, sometimes I don't feel like it. And the magic about it, you know what it is? I don't feel like it. Sometimes I have mild headaches. I'm not talking about migraines or whatever. Even sometimes, again, not sickness, you have the flu and go to the gym, but sometimes you feel really bad. You might be a bit congested, for example. You have a bit of a headache. You don't feel like it. You go to the gym, and the magic about it is that when you're done, you're fine.
Yeah.
It always happens. So the hardest part is putting the kit on and going.
And then going.
And sometimes we think too much.
Yes.
You wake up in the morning and say, I have a run this evening. Shall I go? And you're drained only by thinking about it. So sometimes you just have to stop, dress up, and go.
Yeah. When I used to train swimming 11 times a week, now I still train, but it's different. I used to, when my alarm used to go off, count to 5, and in those 5 seconds I have to get up. Because if you stay longer than 5 seconds, your brain starts to tell you, listen, no, stay in bed, it's cold, today's going to be hard, and it's a whole... Your brain runs before you're even out of the door.
Exactly.
So it's...
And then it's discipline as well. For example, I used to struggle to wake up in the morning. Now I don't struggle anymore because I sleep early, I rest well. So I'm looking forward to waking up, go to the gym, But things get much better, but you have to be disciplined.
Yes.
People always tell me how boring you are, for example, because I got better at saying no to reach my goals. Before I didn't do that.
You'd say yes for everything.
If someone called me in for a meeting at 9, I would say, okay, I'll go. No. It has to be after 10 because I have my training. I used to be embarrassed to say, I have to go to my training. No, not anymore, because it gives me so much in life. So that's a priority for me.
Yeah. It's interesting because the more I speak to people, the more everyone is learning, listen, saying no to things, so I can say yes to the things that I want to say yes to.
Not in a selfish way, obviously. If my kids need something,
yes,
I leave everything and go to what they need, obviously. Even if they need me at school, they need me to take them somewhere. But if something can wait, training is a priority.
Yeah. It's going back to what you were saying about kind of doing the work when you know you don't feel like it, because that's where the magic is. I always remind myself of that because I sometimes fall into a self-help cycle where I can listen to I don't know how many podcasts, read so many books, and I know all the theory, and then when you're tested, you're like, shit, this is what it's actually about, this moment right here. That you've read so much about, you know what you need to do, you have all the theory, all the knowledge. But when you actually come to apply it, you're like, this is what all of those podcasts and things you've done and listened, like for this moment right here. And so when you're
Exactly.
aware of it, you're like, okay, this is what it's all about.
Exactly. Having said that, you know what? Also, I learned lately that if I really feel not like going because I'm tired, I have to listen to my body and take a rest.
Yes, there's a very fine line.
So that's really important as well.
Yes.
So if everything is telling me, listen, rest, don't force yourself so much because then you'll be risking an injury, you know.
Yes.
So I've learned a lot of things lately, as you do. I read a lot, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I'm trying, my struggle is not going to training, as we were saying, but that maybe we'll discuss later.
Yeah, being at the mess, training. Yeah. So coming back to what you were saying about like social media, people saying, because you're so lucky, because you have help, you have this, or some narrative they've created that isn't true. But it's so easy to be like, because Claire has everything done for her, like little do they know. So kind of peeling that back, young Claire, what did that look like? Kind of, I know that we mentioned that when you were young, you weren't maybe as sport as
Totally
you are now.
opposite.
You didn't have the faith in yourself to be who
Nothing.
you are. What did
Totally
that look
opposite.
like?
You know, that's why I started my page, really and truly, because I was total opposite of what I am today. I always wanted to be a sport person, but I'm not coming from a family. My dad used to love running and walking, but we had no, I do not have any family members who were into sports.
Yes.
But I remember watching all the Olympics with him and football matches and everything. And my dad was really a nice man, and he didn't have a bad bone in his body.
How sweet.
And he used to tell me this.
So you used to train together.
I'll tell you how I started training with him. And he used to tell me, I remember I was young, we used to watch the Olympics, and he used to tell me, I am jealous of no one in life. Not even of rich people or anything. I am jealous only of sports persons
I know
who are
someone like that.
disciplined enough to be consistent. And that, I remember, if I had to think about it, I still remember his voice vividly saying it. And then once he started running, I think I was about 16, 17, and I adored my dad. I adored him. And he told me, Isma, I'm starting running. And I told him, okay, I'll come with you. But I used to go with him, not because I wanted to run. I didn't want to leave him alone because I thought something would happen to him and he'll be alone. And so I ran a bit with him, and I remember in the morning he used to come and wake me up. And as he was coming, I would say, I wish he wouldn't wake me up. But that was just a short period. Then I started running when I had my third son, I was 33 years old. But as you were saying, I was totally different. I hated PE, but I always envied sport persons. I was a bit overweight. I had very low self-esteem because of my body image. And even when I put up a post, today I put up a post, how I was and how I am. And this is good. This is something to point out. And people tell me, you are beautiful as you were as well.
But it's how you saw
That is
yourself.
not, but I didn't see myself beautiful. So
people can tell you and it just didn't stick.
No, I didn't like my body. And fitness changed my perception about myself as well. That's why I love it so much. So anyway, then at 33, I started running. Before 33, I did try to enroll in gyms, but I never stuck around. So I had plenty of memberships. I used to start and stop. I hated it, literally. Yeah. I always wished I'd do it, but I didn't believe in myself that it could happen.
Yeah.
And then at 33, I had my third son, I remember. And and I gained a lot of weight. I had the second cesarean, and I was with my kids at home. I had two young ones. And my eldest, Matthew, wanted to start kickboxing.
Okay.
And I took him, and my husband told me, listen, why don't you stay with him? He knew I was really stressed out with the kids. I was very happy. But he told me, why don't you stay with him instead of coming and going? And I started kickboxing. And that was the first time I started becoming stronger.
Spark.
Exactly. Then I started running. to be better in kickboxing. Then my son wanted to stop, so I stopped with him because my life was around him, obviously, and my other
How
kids.
patient parents
Exact. And then I started running, and running was the only thing that I could do because I could go run before my kids woke up.
So it fits your lifestyle at that stage in your life.
Exact. And I wanted to do something big because even though I wasn't a sporty person, like I like taking risks and doing things a bit out of the ordinary. And I told my husband I want to run a marathon, and he told me. I didn't even know at that time. The first 10K I ran, I said I was running a marathon. I didn't even know how the distances and anything. And eventually I did run a marathon by myself. A friend of mine sent me a program, and I got really good time and everything, but it was really therapeutic for me, and I remember crying when I had to cover the long distances. I ran 3 half marathons and 3 full marathons. And I remember when I had to cover the Sunday. The Sunday usually is a very long run. And by January, you have to cover like 38 kilometers, which are quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I used to cry before I go.
Because you knew what was coming.
I had to wake up at 3, go up at 4, so at 4, 5, 6, and by 8 I'll be home,
It's a lot.
But that gave me a big boost.
Yeah.
So running a marathon. But again, with the marathon, I still didn't eat right. And then at 40, the change happened at 40. Literally. But the marathon gave me a big mental boost. Because to run a marathon, once I was reading that once you run a marathon, your life changes. And I was saying, why, Mom?
Little did you know.
But it really changes you.
Yeah.
Because when you have to cover all that mileage after 3 hours, you really hit the wall. Mm-hmm. And it's either you stop or you keep going.
Yeah. So
and that thing of keep it. And I took that boost. But then at 40, I started fitness. So it's really quite late. Now, at 48, going on 49, I'm living literally the life of an athlete I always wished I'd live when I was young, with coaches, with therapists and everything. Who would have told me?
That's so inspiring, because I think as in I'm younger than you, and I feel like a lot of the kind of conversations I have with people my age and youngest, like everyone feels like they're running out of time. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that comes from we're very aware what everyone else is doing. You open your Instagram, there's someone running a marathon, they're cycling abroad, they're doing it. I mean, I fall prey to it all the time. So you're very aware that like maybe you should be doing more, or you should.
In fact, I get that. But you know why? Because people tell me, for example, I train, my gym buddies are all my son's age, 20, 25, 20. And some in the beginning when they did not know me, or when I meet new people and they tell me, you're in pain, and what about, are you limited? And people...
You're the fittest you've ever been in your life.
It doesn't affect me. The only thing which affects you, and you see the difference, is the recovery period. Yes. But race time... to me, it doesn't really make a difference. If I'm competing with 20-year-olds, I'm lucky because my friends whom I train with in the morning are 20, 22, 30, the oldest, and then I am 48, Mm-hmm. And everyone is good at their thing. Yeah. For example, I'm better in endurance, enough running. Others are more strong than I am. I suffer in gymnastics. I'm really bad, but everyone is good at something.
Mm-hmm. But it's inspiring because I think a lot of people put an age at things, and like you're saying, up until 33, you still hadn't figured out the fitness that you enjoy, and also a fitness that you could consistently keep up. And then at 40, you are like, okay, I found my, as Claire, sweet spot. So that's really interesting. So kind of going from a mom of 3 kids, your busy life, and it's stressful and whatever, to 40. What do you think was like the biggest shift internally? Like, was it the way you started speaking to yourself? Was it the way that you said, I'm worth the time to give my body and mind this hour or 2 every day? Like, I'm worthy of it? Or what was the internal shift?
Then I remember, as I was telling you, at 40, I remember it was New Year's Day. And I over it, as I always do every year. And I was depressed like that, laying on the sofa. And I said, I want to start the gym. I want to start weight training. I was reading that weight training is good. The older you get, the better your body gets with training because of bone density and everything. And I remember I contacted someone, the first personal trainer that came up, who was tipo in a gym near my house, and I told him, listen, I would like to start weight training. And he told me, yeah, sure. I went for a consultation, and I remember I told him, can I not pay a gym membership for 6 months? Can I pay for a month only? Because I know it will be hard for me to stick to the gym. And I started going, and somehow everything fit. Where the gym was situated, the coach was nice. I liked the place.
There wasn't
I loved
much
the place.
resistance, which is a really good thing.
Exact. And I started going, but it was hard for me to stick to a diet, to lose a bit of weight, because food is a struggle for me. Anyway, and then this was in January. And I was with a group of friends who started with me, and the others kept their diet well, and they were losing weight. And it was May, and I was saying, Emma, why didn't I stick to it? And with all the weight training that I had been doing since January, then I stuck to a diet plan for 12 weeks, I remember, and I saw a really big change in my body. So what happened was I lost the fat. I was very conscious about my hips, about my thighs. So now people pay to have big hips and a small waist anyway. But I was really conscious about it. And I saw the first shift. I remember I saw a total change that time. And then when you get results, you start liking it more, And then he started, I remember, circuit training, and I kept running in the meantime. And he started increasing training, and then we posted a story. He took a video of me and he posted a story, and I received a lot of messages saying, hey, Lallo, how you've changed, you have 3 kids, how do you manage? And that was it. That was how I started my page, literally. And then the more I posted, the more people connected to me. And then it was a circle, I increased my training, then I started a bit of OCR, which I didn't fall in love with because then I was introduced to other coaches, and I stuck to Jonathan, for example, is still my coach. He's been my coach for 9 years now, but I still go to different boxes. It's always very exciting. And then, you start getting stronger. For example, I remember I used to be petrified just to hang, from a bar. Then I managed to do the monkey bars. Then I managed to do anything, the toast bars, but were a real struggle. You always have something you reach, and it's a rush of endorphins and feel good. I don't know. It's a circle, and you always want to improve.
You just were compounding those good feelings.
And then I competed in 2 CrossFit competitions as a rookie, of course, but they were really, really hard for me, and they were really out of my comfort zone. But I was really happy I managed. And then Hyrox changed my life. It started for fun, literally. I came across it thanks to my coach who was training for it. I didn't know it.
It existed.
It existed. We were the first 4 to go. It was me, Wayne, Kyle, Emma, and Raiza. Emma and Raiza, their job, they went before us. But I didn't even know how to spell it out. And I was saying to my coach, Hyrox, Highrocs. I thought it was something climbing or whatever. No, he was telling me, but he told me, listen, come and do a session with me. Let's try it out. He told me, because you run. And it was a session over an hour and 45 minutes. It was deadly, Imma, the harder it is, the better for me. I really enjoy it. When I struggle and when I'm dying,
That's when you feel alive.
that's when I'm feeling
interesting.
really happy. Happy. Yesterday I sent a message to my husband because we went out for a walk. And I sent him a message. Tony. And I told him, I'm happiest when I'm with you. and when I'm training, but more when I'm with you.
The caveat.
And then I trained with my coach, and I remember I went home and I told my husband that, Lustra, I'm not that bad in this Hyrox thing. And then this was January. And then in April, I was going to visit my son, and something cropped up and we couldn't go. I was a little bit down, and my husband told me, you want we go with your coach and compete in this Hyrox thing? I'm not even trained for it.
Wow.
If I'm not trained for it.
But not competition ready in your head.
I didn't know about the movements. I never practiced the pull and the push.
Mm-hmm.
But I train CrossFit, I train running, so I was
was
very
there.
fit as that. And it was magical. The first one was magical. It was
the first one always is. So you have no comparison.
No, and no expectations
Yes.
whatsoever. So when they told me I came second in my category, lalo man.
Amazing.
Tipon, but I was lucky enough because it's always the first in every age category that qualifies for the World Championships. And the person before me, she was really good. She qualified above everyone. And I took her place. So I could go to the Worlds. And that was, I said, Mela, was an experience for me. And now, thankfully enough, this year I went again to Milan. Again, no expectations of winning my category. But thankfully enough, I won my category again. So I have another target ahead. This time, it's the second time. It was even more surprising because I thought, in Milan, there will be a lot of good athletes,
Yeah.
So
I think as well, just hearing you speak and kind of how passionate you are about it, I think a lot of people think like, if I would have started younger, if I would have done it younger. But I think the older you get, the more you can appreciate it because you realize what it took to get there and whatever that area of life is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think hearing you speak, you've really got like a lot of gratitude towards the sport and what it's bringing to your life because you know a life without it. And so now everything that you do is a plus. I went to a competition, great, plus. I won, plus, plus. But even if you don't win or whatever, you're there. You're in the group of people you always imagined yourself to be a part of.
If I started younger, I don't think I would be as passionate as I am today, to be honest. This might fade away. I don't think so. But, I don't think I could do what I'm doing today. And now that I've literally evolved my work around fitness as well.
It's the perfect timing. Your kids are older.
Exactly.
You have more time.
Exactly.
Going back to what you were saying, how you always pictured this life.
Mm-hmm.
So you always pictured that you wanted to be either with athletes, associated with athletes, somehow. I mean, I have the same idea. Like for me, even if I don't do like at the moment, I can't swim properly because I have a small injury. But for me, I just want to go for the coffee after the swim because I just love that energy. I love being around those people and whatever. So my question to you is that kind of visualization, that always thinking about being an athlete or thinking like an athlete, how did that help you get to?
Definitely it helps. It takes a lot of my
mental
time and my thoughts. I'm always, for example, now I have the Nice competition in Nice in France. If I tell you,
you wake up thinking about it.
Wake up thinking about it in the car. I'm thinking about it while I'm training. I'm thinking about it and I'm visualizing myself racing, myself failing. So I'm prepared just in case something happens. And yes, I think I did visualize and manifest the life I wanted today. Listen, I don't believe in that airy-fairy manifestation of thinking about something, writing it down in a journal. But what I do believe is that if you really want something, you become it. And then everything in the world conspires for you to be that person you want to be.
Yeah.
So I'm the living proof of that, I think. I wish I could show you how I was before from photos, you can see, but I really was the opposite. Even this
I
thing.
think more internally, like how you probably spoke
Internally,
about
I really suffered from low self-esteem. I studied theater, and I ended up on TV. My mom says that is the best thing I did because I was so shy.
You got you out
And
of your
people in
shell.
theater and people on TV, most of them have very low self-esteem. So you do it to beat that. And I really suffered, even until a few years ago, even when I was doing an event or something, I used to, a lot of thoughts came across, what did the people think? Did they like my... But that changed, and only fitness changed it.
Wow.
So, as I was saying, for example, if I didn't manage to do a snatch, for example, for me it's really hard to do a snatch, but somehow I'm learning and I'm increasing
For those who
the
don't know what a
weight.
snatch is.
A snatch is with the barbell,
'Cause I
you put
understood
it
you
up, and so
snack.
much really like a clean and jerk and everything. With the barbell, you add weights and it's
Okay.
part of it. So basically, me enough, a few months back, I didn't even know how to put up a barbell on my shoulders, But now, watching my videos, photos, looking back at what I did, Lallo, today I can do that, for example, and that increases my self-confidence. So that's why what I gained in sports spilled over in my life, So fitness gave me, because of the change that happened physically, strength-wise.
Yeah, you walk in a room with your head held a bit higher because you know that your hardest part of the day, you already did it. You woke up, you killed yourself for 2 hours in the gym. And so what happens next, like you'll figure it out kind of thing.
And the nicest, I'm saying about the gains, about the successes maybe, but the majority of my fitness is fails all the time and struggles, because we're talking about the Hyrox and whatever, and everything seems so nice. And I'm saying I manage things, it takes a lot of practice, a lot of really, literally, blood, sweat and tears, but it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And what I found really interesting when we spoke before this podcast was how for you as well, a big part of the fitness puzzle was because of your kids. Like you want to be fit enough to keep up with your kids, fit enough to be present in their life and not kind of look back and say, oh, I wish I was fitter, now I can't even.
And this is really strange. I find it strange even to relate it, because whoever knew me before and I wasn't into sports or anything, they would tell me, how would you dream of being a sports person? People would think I would dream of presenting a huge show, for example, but I always wanted to be a sports person. And I remember when I had my son Matthew 22 years ago, I do remember, this was in hospital, so I can remember it vividly. I was looking at him and I was saying, what if my son would love sports and I would love sports, and one day we'll race together.
Wow. That's a...
If someone had, enough, if my mom had to listen to me, people tell me, how did you dream of sports? You weren't into sports at that time, but I really remember and recall vividly that moment. And then thankfully enough, I manifested it.
Yes. And now your son
It happened. Yes, he's into sports.
You train together when you see each other.
Yes.
Together.
We managed to compete in Hyrox in Milan. It was a dream.
Wow.
That was really a dream, watching him do, because he came to watch me in the Worlds in Manchester. And he didn't know a lot about Hyrox yet, but when he came there,
he fell in love with it.
He fell in love with the sport, and then he told me, Ma, I would love to do it. And we went to Milan, and he raced before me, and that was so emotional for me.
I mean, energy is very contagious, and it's also, I think, seeing your parents do something, or not even do something, but knowing that they're going to support you. Then that's
But my parents,
fantastic.
My dad died, usually, I feel sad that he didn't see me become the person I am today. Because he died when I was going to do my first half marathon, I remember.
Because you used to run, it was during a run, that he had passed away.
Mela. That was really... And it had been years since we ran together because I had my kids and he used to go to the 6 o'clock mass every day. And when I started running a bit, it was I would go out at 6 and then I'd go home and take my kids to school. And the day he died, I met him. I saw him running. I remember I saw him running and I was saying to myself, why am I seeing my dad running today? And then I reached him and we ran a bit. He was worried. We had a situation at home and I remember I was saying, we will solve it, as I will see. And he was telling me, go, because it's time to take your kid to school. And I was saying to myself, should I leave him? Should I not? Should I leave him? And please go, because you get me worried. That's what he used to say, because he'd worry I'd rush and then drive tipo fast to work and I have an accident or whatever. And I told him, okay, I'm leaving, Mela, because I didn't want to upset him. And then I went home and he was dead. I'm laughing about it now. It took me years to come out of it. But nowadays, it took a lot of time for me to grieve. He was, I loved him. I adored my father. Mm-hmm. So the thing that really bothered me was I will not see him again. I will not feel him. But I dream a lot about him and everything. And I feel sad that he didn't see me become the person who, because he would have been so proud.
Yeah. I'm sure he does see you from a different way.
Hopefully. Hopefully. But he would have been so proud.
Yes.
Because this is what he always told me. He, as I said, he used to tell me, I am jealous only of people who are consistent. And somehow, thankfully enough, not boasting or anything, but I can say I'm really consistent and I love training.
No, you are.
So, tipo, he would say, lallu.
I think you became the person that he would have been jealous of in the best way possible.
And he would be really
And now
happy.
you get to share that with your kids,
Yes.
which is, for me, that's like very few things I think in life you can take away from me. But if you take away sports and probably doing it with like my family or whatever, then so I completely understand.
True.
Thanks for sharing that. So I wanted to ask you, how did you have to kind of restructure the way you spoke to yourself and like that self-belief to have the confidence to start going to the gym, because maybe people listening to this or just people in general, they're like, I don't know where to start, or whenever I start, like you're saying, I do a week and then I can't figure it out, or I don't know what to do. Like even me, sometimes quite a sporty person, I think about joining a new gym or a class.
But sometimes we make situations far worse than they really are.
Yeah.
Once I read this book, I remember it was about sadness and about worries and about depressions and anxiety. And sometimes life is 70% harder because of the thoughts in our head.
Yes.
So when people tell me I'm shy to go because people will make fun of me, how do you know it will happen? And what if
Where's
not?
the evidence?
And I had read this and it's stuck in my mind and I use it every day. Before I go and do something, for example, what if I fail? And what if I don't? And then I say, enough, for example, even when I'm worried for my kids, what if something happens? What if nothing happens? And I'm always saying this in my head. Enough, what if I fall? What if I don't? What if I... And that really stuck to me. And we think a lot and we worry a lot of things that we put in our minds. People we think about and they don't really exist. So that's what I say to people. And as you were saying, I remember before going to the gym, I was really embarrassed. I used to wear tops, really long tops and enough joggers, whatever, to cover my body because I was thinking that everyone will
But no one cares enough.
No one really
in
cares.
a good way. No one cares. They're focusing on themselves.
No one really cares, believe me. And then when you go, you say, it wasn't that bad. Even nowadays, for example, I love joining different boxes. And in some boxes, in my eyes, boxes, gyms, CrossFit, of CrossFit. Okay. But in my eyes, for example, some boxes are enough tougher than others. There are better athletes. And when they invite me to go, I'd be embarrassed and I'd say, what happens if I don't manage that? And then when I go,
None of the bad happens, and
No,
you're like,
no,
it was all
no.
in my head.
tipo, and I'm drained even before I went because of all the thoughts that came in my mind.
Yeah. Recently, what I like to do is I give my brain a name. I heard this on a podcast when I had shared with you of Mo Gaudat. And I give my brain a name. So sometimes I call it Becky, sometimes I call it Sarah, and I'd
Good.
be like, Becky, like not today, like just
Cut it
don't
out.
have the, because it's a
Good,
muscle and
good.
you can control it. I mean, there are times when it runs with you and whatever, but the reality is that if you don't need to give every thought the energy, like let it pass through and
Exactly.
on to the next one.
And we really can shape and shift, you know.
Yes.
I really love the subject neuroplasticity on how you change. And we were talking about this before. Tipo, sometimes not that I'm proud of what I do, but I do look back and see the
That
changes.
retrospective, it's important.
And something which I'm adopting as well, which I really love. I don't know if it sounds pretentious, but what I do, for example, now I have to stick to a particular diet to become stronger for my muscles and everything. And I visualize the Claire who will compete in France in June. And I say to myself, would that Claire eat that, for example? Would that Claire stay late? Would that Claire do that?
The thing is, you have to be so awake to have go through that exercise, because you can so easily like eat something, do something.
Exact.
So you have to constantly be switched
So
on.
I'm constantly saying that. Would that Claire, the Claire I'm visualizing that will be,
Wow.
do that? And that changes a lot too. Even I changed how I eat. I still eat a lot, but I omitted literally a lot of things which before I used to. It changes. And tipo, for example, enough if I used to eat pizza frequently, who would have told me at that time that I would literally live without having a pizza, for example, enough. But now, it's
and not
automatic
forever, you're
for
just in this phase of your life,
me.
or
This
at the
phase
moment
when I'm really constant,
Yes.
where I'm really focused, and other things give me joy, for example,
Yes.
more than having
Yes,
that
because
thing.
I think some people might listen and go, "Lala, how depressing to live without food."
No,
or
I'm
whatever."
always, people are always telling me that.
But I don't think it's
even my
about
kids,
that.
Ma, how depressed.
Yeah.
Ma, what a sad life you have.
But for you, it's worth the
But for
cost.
me, it's
It's worth it.
happiness.
Yes.
Tipo, even being disciplined at the end of the day and saying, "Lalo, today I did this. I didn't, tipo,
like you won.
be lazy." Exactly.
Yeah.
What we're doing is today.
Yeah. So something I ask a lot of guests is, so on the days when you wake up and it kind of feels a bit dark and you're just like, oh, I just don't feel like anything and whatever. Like, what is Claire's toolkit to tap into to get you out of like maybe a funk or a cycle or...
Not training. It never happens to me for training.
No.
I always want to go.
Okay. Okay.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
Very surprising now, because as I told you, I remember, but it's my fun space, even the community, it's my social life, literally.
Yes.
So in the morning when I go, even enough, it's a workout and you chat with your friends, and so it's always fun. So I'm always looking forward to that. But yes, there are days, the runs, maybe now I have to increase my runs, and maybe since I'm going alone, maybe not always I love running, but you might have those low days. As I told you, I'm learning to, how do you say it? To listen to myself, to listen to my body. I do take lazy days. For example, Sunday, I train in the morning, but then I'm lazy for a whole day. I binge watch. And I really believe that I should do that. Mela. Out of away from social media, away from my work. So that recharges me, to be honest.
Okay. So like you'd say a big part of like your own personal kind of must-haves to keep that like high vibration is reading, eating well, your morning rituals, the power of your community, and
my
moving.
Morning, I would never give away my morning.
What does your morning look
my
like?
Mornings. This started, I think now it's been a year and a half. I wake up at 4, religiously.
Every day?
Every
so today
day.
You woke up at 4 a.m.?
Mela. But I sleep early, yeah?
Okay.
But I'm really looking forward to the morning because it's a magical time for me.
Okay,
It's
so you wake up at
silent.
4?
I wake up at 4, go down, I take my coffee. I take my breakfast really early.
Uh-huh.
And I stay reading. Sometimes I scroll social media. I try to find ideas. Sometimes I work. Depends on the work I
Yes.
have. But the majority of time I read.
Okay.
And that's magical for me. And no one takes that.
So you read
that
for like
away.
an hour or...
Exactly.
And then you go training?
From 4 till 5. Then at 5, I go buy bread. I do prepare lunches for my kids. I wake up my son because my son comes to the gym before school with me, my youngest. So I prepare his breakfast and his food and everything. Then we go to the gym at 6. And at 6:30, I take him to school. And then I'm back. I wash and start my day.
Yes. Wow. Okay. And every day?
That's 3 times a week.
Okay.
2 other times during the week, either I run, I take him to school, and then I go run because he goes to De La Salle and I go run, or else we go training in the evening.
All right. Okay.
I'm not so fond of training in the evening, but I learned to love it now.
Yes. Okay.
Tipo,
so that's where the consistency kicks in, like week in, week out, no matter what week you're having.
No.
Those are your unshakables.
It's not
non-negotiables. Okay. And yeah, so I think what I wanted to just kind of ask you about, because before we missed on it, was coming back to social media.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned once that when you post something, which I found really interesting, you said when you post something, you take it for granted that no one's going to like it.
Uh-huh.
What's that all about?
It's very tempting to go down that path of seeking validation. Listen, everyone seeks
We're all
validation.
human, yes,
We're
of
all
course.
human. Yes.
Yes.
I don't say I'm not happy when I get
No, it's
an
like when
amount
I post
of
this, I want people to
mushek.
listen. I'm going to keep an eye on it.
But if I had to be honest, there was a time when it was affecting me. You know, the algorithm changes, the views changed, and I had lower views, and I was saying what was happening. Then I got to know it changed for everyone. And I was feeling I was being really superficial.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle with it. Again, I'm being honest. If I put a good post, which I think is really good, and it doesn't do so well, I do say, "Lal, what happened?"
Mm-hmm.
You know? But I had read about this, that when I'm posting something, it's as if no one will watch it. So, I'm not posting it for anyone to like it and validate me.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked better for me, you know?
So every time you post, you take it for granted no one's going to like this.
No one is going to like it.
But I still want to post it.
I'll post it because I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it's always a struggle.
Yes.
So I'm not saying, again, I like it when I get likes. I like it when I get views. I like it when I get nice comments. But then I'll try to put myself back in place.
Yeah.
But social media is an addiction. That is one constant struggle for me because I'm very conscious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And since I work, I'm reading this book. It's really good about how to stay away from social media. But I realized I can't keep reading these books because my work is on social media.
Yeah.
So I can't stay away from social media and then I have to post. I can't really post and people not follow up. So I have to find another solution.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to finding it, but I hate the fact that when I'm, for example, doing nothing, I go scrolling.
Yes, yes.
In the weekend, I manage.
Yes, I think we all do it.
In the weekend, I manage to put it away, because since I associate it with work,
you take a break.
I take a break. But for example, something which really annoys me is I'm watching a film and then I have to read about the actor and the actress and the film and the ratings and everything. I can't really stay watching a film like I used to, you know? And that bothers me. And it's a constant struggle for me and I'm always trying to fight it.
Yeah, I can understand because I think we all feel it and I think we all, unfortunately, it's part of our life. Fortunately and unfortunately, because there is a good that comes from it. You know, like that you can connect with people, you can maybe learn things.
Of course. It's a lot of my work. I learned a lot of things. So a lot of my work is on social media.
I think being aware.
And I get motivated.
I've had enough today.
for example, in my feed is all fitness people.
Yes.
So in the morning when I wake up, sometimes I go on my social media and it's all people working up,
Motivate
and
you.
I'm really motivated. And then I
Yes.
tell Lallu, it's soon 6, so I'll be going.
Yes.
So that's a positive for me.
Yes.
But I had tried this exercise. And it works, but I'm angry at myself lately because I'm not managing to do it. Because if you wake up and resist the urge of going on your mobile, scrolling on your mobile for the first hour, then it will be easier for the rest of the day not to go
Not to
on
touch
social
it.
media.
Yeah.
But right now I'm researching a lot of subject to X, so automatically.
You reach for it.
Exactly.
I think sometimes being aware is enough. Like knowing that, like,
I am
listen,
aware,
it's-
believe me.
It's sometimes it's enough, and then you say, okay, today I was on it a bit more, tomorrow a bit less. I mean, it ebbs and flows. So
Mela.
I think we all feel that.
Another thing which I'm doing is I try to keep myself busy as
Yes,
as
so
much
that
as
you
I
don't
can.
have idle hands.
Eżatt.
Yeah.
Eżatt.
This has been so cool. I think for me, just seeing that, yes, you're 48, fitter than ever. The way you're a really powerful visualization person that's just constantly putting yourself in the future and saying, what does that look like and how can I get closer to it? And then making decisions today that future me is going to be like,
Mela.
go Claire. Like
That's another thing. That's another good thing of social media. I'm following people who are older than me and they're really strong and they have
Yeah.
a beautiful body. So that's really inspiring.
Yes. And it's inspiring that also that you have kind of taught yourself to see all of that's still yet to come, and kind of your best days are still all ahead of you. I think that's fantastic.
Really and truly. Yeah, when I was younger and I used to think enough type of my mom being 40, I used to see her old.
And now you're
I'm
like
48.
just
My
getting
kids
started.
still see me old. Tipo, for them, I'm old. Mine. Eżatt, I'm just literally getting started and I'm really looking forward to being 50, and I'm really curious to see
You're excited.
how stronger can I become.
That's amazing. I hope anyone listening to this is inspired to just say, no matter what age you are, just go.
Because the mind is really powerful, you know.
Yes.
And the older you get, you become more resilient and your mindset is stronger.
It's amazing. So I have these 6 closing questions I'm asking
Okay.
every person who comes on Setting the Pace. Okay, cool. So the first one is, where can people go to learn more about you?
On my Instagram.
On your Instagram.
That's the only thing I really use because I didn't establish a relationship with TikTok. I hate it. Facebook also. So the only platform I'm comfortable on, and I post mostly on. I do post on Facebook, but mostly on Instagram.
Okay, we'll make sure to link it. And then, what can people expect from you next? You've got this competition in France, right?
In June.
And any
More
other
an-
exciting projects coming up? Or
Yes, I do have a program besides sports. I do have this taste and travel program where I go abroad. I've been to Africa, I've been to Turkey, and I can't really reveal our next destination, but it's massive.
Okay, cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. My podcast, of course. So that's it, basically. And more competitions, maybe. I'm curious to see what I will do after Hyrox, because I was saying to my husband, I don't think I will go again, but I might go.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because this year I'll be 49 and next
So
year
you
I will
qualify-
be 50. And when I'm 50, I'll be the youngest of the 50 to the 55 age. So although really and truly the champions of so in Hyrox you compete as a single or doubles. Doubles females, doubles males, or doubles mixed. The world champions for the doubles females right now are aged from 50 to 59.
Wow.
Would you
okay.
believe that they're the fastest?
So you're not going to stop.
They're the fastest and the strongest.
Wow.
They're an English woman and a German woman.
Amazing.
So they beat everyone, 20s, 30s, everything.
Woohoo. Going back to food, what's one of your favorite meals of all time?
Meals? Ma taf kemm jien boring. I love salads. I love if it's a good salad with seeds and nuts, and that's the best thing I can take.
Nice. What's something that at the moment you're profoundly grateful for?
My fitness.
fitness.
Even because, as we were saying, I just came out from an injury. I'm still suffering and I will keep on suffering. I don't think it will ever heal fully. And I'm very conscious about that. I was always grateful after each workout. When I'm driving home, I say how grateful I am, because not everyone is, if you go through illness, but I'm really grateful. So every day enough, that is something I'm really grateful that I could get back to training after the injury in my knee. I'm really conscious about it, so I'm really careful.
Front of mind, yeah.
Tipo, but I'm grateful for that.
Okay. What's the last thing you Googled?
I can tell you yesterday. You wouldn't believe it. I was Googling yesterday.
Maria, come there. No,
I was Googling about injuries.
Okay.
Tipo, how to deal with injuries, because sometimes it takes a lot of my mind.
Okay.
A lot of my thoughts.
And there are other people suffering as well, like, so you...
Exact. About knee rehab exercises, although my son gave me a set of exercises which were really good, but right now he's really busy and I wasn't going to annoy him, telling him. So I was Googling about finding more exercises to do to getting it stronger.
Okay. And the last one, what's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Lallu.
It's a bit of a thinker.
Yeah, you know what people say when they see me, say, how relaxed you are. Tipo, because, we're in Malta, we're really small, everyone knows each other. But when you're on TV, tipo, they expect that you're a bit stuck up on everything, and to me it's just another job. That was a lesson my son taught me. I used to do this program when he was young. I was a fairy, and it was a really good program, and kids loved it. And one day, a boy approached him and he told him, Lallu, your mom is the fairy. I'm like, Alloha. Tipo, mushanka, yours is the fairy. To them, tipo, I was normal, and that kept tipo stuck in my mind. And I really hate stuck up people, to be honest. And now I'm coming across a lot of even young people who make it enough online work, tipo, who are a bit stuck up because they think they're successful. I hate it. I hate it.
So the more chill, the better.
Exactly. People tell me how chill you are. Yes, I am chill.
Nice. Fantastic. Thank you. This was such a good conversation.
I'm glad.
I really, 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 really appreciate it. So thank you.
I really appreciate your invite. I really enjoyed it. Proset, and I wish you a lot of luck. I'm sure this will do really well.
Yes, I really hope so. Thank you. Thank you to Lito's Place and Malta Camera Rental, and for everyone listening. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Thank you.